Yes, well, I had this notice come up. Hello, everybody. Yes. Oh my goodness, there are 5 of us. There actually should be 6 of us, but unfortunately, our lovely Carol could not make it today. She has other things to do, but we're probably going to have her on as a separate entity. We're going to get her one way or another. So we have our lovely Chris, who wave Chris, say hi, who
Hello,
helped
everyone.
me with all of this stuff. And we have these 3 beautiful, I have to say, gorgeous looking creatures here, beautiful ladies here, who are our bottom brickers. Now, unbeknownst to me in the beginning, we started a club. I don't know how it happened, but we now have a club. We have 4 members so far. Are we counting ourselves as well, Chris? Chris, you're a bottom bricker. We should count you, so that makes 5. I'm not a bottom bricker, but I devise it. I think that makes me a bottom bricker too. I'm going to say I'm a bottom bricker. We do have a few others, but officially, publicly, we now have 3 of our bottom brickers who are going to talk to us, first of all, about their experience that they had, and then we're going to be, Chris and I, and of course, Gregel, who is always here with us, we're going to ask them some pointed questions. Be prepared, girls, to be on the hot seat, but we're going to have fun. So, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself for those who haven't seen you before?
Hi, my name is Chris. I assist Rosemary Altea in her office. I am also one of her healers, and I've known her for 21 years.
And she's a bottom bricker, definitely. Did not like the hot seat, did you, Chris? Anyway, moving on. All right. So now our little redhead in the corner here was the first of our bottom brickers. Very brave of you. Would you like to introduce yourself, my darling?
Hey, my name is Josephine. I live in New York, and I'm a bottom bricker. Anything else?
Yay! And next we have
Bridget.
Oh, hi, I'm Bridget. I'm the second bottom bricker. I'm from Michigan.
Hi, Bridget. And yes, last but not least,
Christine.
Hello, I am Christine, and I am located in Iowa, and I think I'm the 3rd bricker.
I think you are the 3rd bricker.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Bottom bricker. I think we're going to stick to bottom bricker. I like bottom bricker. Sounds sort of very English to me. Very bottom bricker like. Right. So, all right, everybody. So you can find each of these ladies' interviews. They were each interviewed separately. We did the exercise with each of them separately. And you can find those interviews on YouTube, or if you're not sure, just email us, email Chris, K-R-I-S, at rosemaryaltea.com to find the individual interviews that we did. You'll find them, I think, absolutely fascinating. However, let's go to Josephine, because you are number 1 after all, Josephine. All right, you are the number 1 bottom bricker. So first of all, can you tell us briefly how you found the exercise?
How I found the exercise. A little confusing. I wasn't sure why we were going in the direction we were going for myself, but when I watched other people, I kind of could see the wisdom behind the direction that you took them. So then I began to think, well, Rosemary sees things that we don't see. So I trust that we did what we meant to do.
Well, having seen other people do that, and having seen how it worked with other people, did that help you when you went back to look at your own interview again? Did it help you to understand better the direction that we were heading in?
Yeah, it did.
Good. So then, Bridget, how about you?
Well, I was very nervous initially about the exercise, but I found a lot of insight into why I had such a feeling of just being a generally bad person. And my life has changed a lot since then. It's been
Okay, we're going to ask you about that in a minute. So let's go to Christine. Christine, how did you find your interview?
Well, I kind of had an inkling that it was going to reveal something to me. When I first heard you were doing this, I caught it like at the end of another show. And I reached out to Chris and I said, you know, what's going on? And she gave me details. And so I submitted and I just let it go. And then when I heard back from her, I thought, well, this is an opportunity. And I kind of knew in my gut that it was going to be uncomfortable, but it was worth it. So.
Was it uncomfortable, Christine?
Well, sure.
Oh.
A little bit, yeah.
You were so brave, all of you. You were very, very brave to do this and to do it publicly. And I so admire you all. So, Josephine, so now understanding a little bit better what the process is and understanding and trusting that it's a good process. What about now? What about after? What about afterwards? You were still obviously a little bit confused afterwards about what we were doing, but have you come to any understanding of yourself or any revelations about your own self pertaining to this exercise?
Well, one thing that I began to realize was the instructions you gave me at the end was to talk to my children about my past experience. And I realized that that's my natural nature, but I'd been training myself to conform to my husband's values, but they didn't really fit me. I'm a person who likes to talk honestly about myself. So I'm reclaiming that part of myself and noticing how it exists around me and how it helps people to connect. So that was helpful, the exercise you gave me at the end.
So did you talk to your children?
I told my daughter, and she opened up a lot about herself also. And I think she kind of understood. I definitely understood my mother's silence meant I didn't learn a lot of talking skills.
Yeah.
And but I am learning them. I have my opportunities now.
Did you think to share your interview, your video with your kids?
I shared it with my son, my eldest son, because he's the most open, but we didn't get much of a chance to talk about it. Maybe he kind of liked it, but yeah, I suppose we need to try and talk about it more, see what he really feels about it.
Yeah, because I suspect that you really want to improve your communication with your kids.
Yes, yes.
And I think that one of your big stumbling blocks was that you really were lacking or feeling the lack of communication between you all, and and then therefore that leads you to understand that they don't really know you very well, which is not what you want for your kids, is it?
No, it's not.
So sharing with them, I mean, it's a great start, really great start, but sharing more with them as well and sort of finding opportunities to talk about these things. I think your life in particular, it was an unusual past that you had, very unusual, very different. And I think that in your kids knowing that and understanding and seeing the reality of it as you talked about it, because you were very open about it, I was pleased to see. But I think that them seeing that and hearing that from you, and then I think after that, it's so helpful then to keep that door open, because you've for so long in your life, you've had a closed door. You've been hiding behind that door for whatever reason, whether it was your husband or whether you felt that you felt less because other people wanted you to be silent, or they didn't feel that you had a voice, or they weren't prepared to listen to you. You've had that door's been closed. So now showing this video to your son, talking about this with your daughter, you've sort of opened the door. And what I would love to see is that you get it wider and wider until there is no door. And you can only do that, I think, by talking about yourself and about talking about this experience, and also listening to their point of view on what happened to you, and just basically developing conversations between you so that you build a relationship that you perhaps haven't had before with them.
Very good. Yes.
So what do you think about that opening of the door? You were very nervous about it, I know, but do you feel, even though you haven't had a conversation with your son about it yet, do you feel that it was worth it to share?
To share the video with him?
Yes, to share with your children.
It's definitely worth it. It was definitely worth it to share with my younger daughter. My second son didn't respond, but he doesn't respond to a lot of things. Yeah, I need to make more effort to share with the other children, but it definitely helped with one of my daughters. Helped her open up about herself.
Okay, great. So, Bridget.
Yes.
What do you feel the effect of doing the bottom brick had on you, and can you explain if it has changed you in any way? Are you reacting differently now? Do you have a better understanding of who you are or not? Whatever you want to say, you can say.
Actually, I felt the effect almost immediately. I found myself the next day or two feeling bored, and I realized that all the worry and pain were like not in the back of my mind anymore. I didn't have anything.
Got nothing to worry about.
I didn't have anything there that was just in the background, this feeling of not being worthy and dwelling on past mistakes. And so it really freed me from a lot of things that I think were holding me down. I didn't realize how much I hesitated in doing things I wanted to for myself, because I was always trying to prove that I was worthy to everybody around me. I actually, shortly thereafter, quit my job, and I quit my job and I went back to school full time to finish my degree.
Wow.
So that's what I'm doing now.
Do you feel that was a result of what you discovered about yourself?
I actually do. I've been a senior in college for 6 years now. I waited. There was always an excuse why something else came first. And I decided, no, it's my turn to focus on finishing this up and not just assuming I would be a failure. It gave me a lot of courage that not to think that I would automatically just fail, but that, yes, I was worthy of it. And I have plans, for my future that I would always push to the back of my mind before and not pursue, because I just figured I'd screw it up anyway.
But the bottom brick showed you that what? Showed you that you're not a failure, you don't need to be a failure. What did it show to you, that exercise?
What it showed me was that there were a lot of things that happened that my mother said and did that I believed. She said, "You've tried to kill your baby sister by trying to feed her a cookie." That was the bottom brick. And I started to believe that I was just a general failure, that I didn't have worth. And once I realized where that came from and how it was her problem. My sort of aha moment was when you said that my mother was jealous of me. I never thought in a million years that anybody could be jealous of me, in particular my mom. And that put things into perspective to release me from the belief that it really was true. There was something intrinsically wrong with me. And it was really that she had issues, and, you know, it came out in this way.
And laid them at your door. You know, there is a saying that if somebody tells you something long enough and often enough, there's a tendency for us to believe it. And I think, you know, you're only a child, and then growing up as a teenager and then a young adult, why wouldn't you believe it? Because after all, your mother is one person you expect to tell you the truth about things. So I'm so pleased that, wow, we've had a big revelation here. I'd like to talk about your plans for the future. And in fact, I'd like to sort of ask all of you what you feel doing this exercise has given you for your future in a few moments. But let's talk to Christine. So Christine, how did you feel, you can say during, after, immediately after? Did it take you a while to get used to it? What was going on with you when you did this bottom brick and after you did the bottom brick exercise?
Well, I noticed right away, but I kind of held it a little bit just so I could really feel into it, because I tend to, I tended to blame myself and to say I've done all these things wrong, or, you know, my whole thing, my brick was to be accepted. And what I found through the course of our conversation was that I wasn't feeling accepted because I wasn't accepting. And so that was kind of like a
aha moment. I think they call it an aha moment, right?
It was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. It was a new perspective. It was all in a new context. So it was absorbable. So I needed to absorb it. But the next day, we had a lull in our schedule, and I shared the video
we being
my husband and I.
Okay. Yeah.
My conversation originally was about being accepted by my family or my sister, my husband, and well, that's where it ended up. And so I actually shared the video with him the next day. I thought, you know what, I'm diving right in.
How brave of you. Wow.
Well, I figured I'm diving in. I'm, you know,
Good
all exposed here on the internet. I might as well expose to him.
Yeah.
So, you know, he really felt it in his heart. And I think it, without him actually verbally saying, I think it validated him and some of his feelings, you know, and so it was pretty remarkable. And it's really just unfolded from that moment on. And yeah, so what was the question?
You almost answered it. Now, from what you've said to me, I want to know what it did for you, if it did anything for you. And obviously it did. I like the fact that you took a day to process. I think that's a good thing. And that you then took an action. Because so often, especially when we're doing the bottom brick with people who need the bottom brick the most, taking action, taking right action, good action, right action for ourselves, it's very hard to take an action because we have such low self-esteem. We have such a feeling of, lacking of self-worth and so on. So to actually take an action to actually, and Josephine, you took an action by showing your daughter this and talking to your daughter about this. Bridget, wow, did you ever take an action? Whoa. And then Christine, to actually involve your husband and to the point where you could share this with him. What an amazing action that is, which I think the bottom brick, when we do that and we discover these things about ourselves, it gives us the courage to take these actions, right actions. But I'm curious, Christine, when you say it validated your husband, and we don't want to pry into your personal life at all. Well, do we or don't we? I'm such a nosy person. Of course I want to pry into your personal life. When you say it validated your husband's feeling, can you just give us, without let's say, without being disloyal to him, without giving away too much about him, because he wasn't the one who voted to come on the show, you did. But can you explain just a little bit about what you mean when you say it validated your husband's feelings?
Well, I believe that we mirror one another when we speak and when in relationship. And I think what validated for him was possibly some of my responses or my reactions. He could think or not think, but he could see that, she sees what I saw in her, in me, or vice versa kind of thing. So it was like, it's kind of like I guess like a little revelation of sorts. Just like, I understand now why she was feeling that way, or I understand now why that came across this way. So it was like an understanding. It was like I understand her process a little bit more.
I've got it now, right?
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. That's what your husband is saying. Oh, I get her, because and the interesting thing, when we share these things, we bare our souls. It's very scary to bare your soul, because you never know how that person you're bearing your soul to is going to respond to you. What if he had dismissed it? What if he'd shouted at you? What if he'd been, rude about it? What if he'd belittled you over it? All of those. This is the bottom brick thing. So you did a very brave thing there, and you've all, in sharing, done a very brave thing. But when we share in this way, I think the interesting thing is that we, without realizing it, we actually give others permission to share with us. And Josephine, you said your daughter opened up to you. You shared with her, therefore she could share with you. She could open up to you in the same way that you were opening up to her. Bridget, I'm sure you have people that you've shared this with. I'm going to ask you in a minute, did you share with anybody? Did that, and does that give permission for that person to share and to open up with you? Because I feel that this is a very integral and very important part of the bottom brick exercise. And if you take it to its nth degree, to sharing it with other people, keeping your fingers crossed they're not going to feel less about you, that they're not going to ridicule you, that they are going to listen to you. Finally somebody's listening to me. It's amazing, the result of that, because it really allows other people then to share with us and to share their thoughts and feelings, which I'm hoping, tell me if I'm right or wrong, Christine, I'm sure your husband then had a lot to share with you.
Maybe not as much as you would think. But
well,
enough.
Let me just preface this by saying, women. Okay, I can't remember who it was who said it. Somebody said, wrote about that men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You know that book. And women have, let's say, several thousand words a day, and men only have 1,000 words a day. Women will use their words all the time. Men don't use their words, but the sharing in a way that is, you know, actions, taking actions, being more affectionate, being more understanding in different ways. So men, when I'm talking about your husband sharing, I'm not necessarily talking about him verbalizing as we women would do, but sharing in a whole different way, in actions and so on. So I'm going to put that to you again. So has he been able to share in whatever way he shares? Has he been able to share with you in a way that brings you closer together?
1,000%.
Okay,
Yes.
you understand what I'm
Yep.
saying now, don't you? Yeah,
And that's kind of what I would.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well,
Go.
you know,
I was just saying his way is not verbal, but in other ways. So definitely,
he's a man.
definitely. Yes.
We women love to talk, and men do not love to talk. Now that's a generalization. We know that, big generalization, but it does apply. You know, we women are the ones who often have to take the initiative in doing things, and men sort of sit back and let us do it. Or if we don't take the initiative, nothing happens. So, you know, I'm not sexist in any way. I love men just as much as I love women, but men have a different way of sharing and of, let's say, verbalizing, using actions to speak for them very often. All right, so now let's go back and let's see. I'm going to ask each of you the same question. So looking at what has happened since the bottom brick, looking at the revelations that you've had, looking at your ability to share and so on, and making decisions perhaps that you didn't even expect you were going to make. What does that spell for you in the future? Has doing the bottom brick exercise made a difference to the way you're thinking about the future? Even if the future is only tomorrow or next week, has it made a difference to the way you treat yourself? And what does that spell for you, or what do you hope that spells for you in the future? Josephine, let's go for you.
Something happened within a week after the bottom brick that seems to be connected with the bottom brick. I was with a fascia release practitioner, and he was talking too much and too strongly, and I started to get overwhelmed. And then he asked me where my stress was. I said, it's in my face. And then as he worked on my face, I could feel in certain places of my face, all this grief was there. And they seemed to be connected with communication.
Yes.
And then I could feel my father, like the highest self of my father, or the divinity of my father. He's passed away since then. His love was healing the grief as the practitioner was working on it. It was very interesting. Some places there was no grief, other places there was grief.
Interesting.
I can remember how many times not understanding a conversation had overwhelmed me and brought me to tears, you know. And but this gave me confidence that yes, even after we pass away, we as parents can bring healing to our children. Even from a distance, our higher self can bring healing to our children. So that gave me a lot of confidence to experience that from my father. And I do have a memory of my father apologizing to me for pushing me to talk when I was 2 or 3 years old. So that might have been one of my bottom bricks. Yeah.
So do you feel that doing the bottom brick has enabled you to recognize things when they're happening, enabled you to recognize what is going on within you, and to allow things to happen as you did, as you just said? Do you think that?
because of the bottom brick exercise, then I knew something was going on that I needed to deal with and maybe express. And I think I said more to the practitioner than I
Good job.
normally would have. I
Good
revealed,
job.
yes. Mhm.
Well done. And do you think in the future you're going to be able to let go more and to express more? I'm keeping my fingers crossed here.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.
You think so? Good girl. I'm very, very proud of you, Josephine. Well done.
Thank you.
Bridget, I'm blown away here. Oh my goodness, you took a huge step. Was it a right step? How did the bottom brick help you in taking this step? And what do you feel that the bottom brick exercise is going to do for you in the future?
Well, I know that it had the release of all of that pain, gave me confidence to finally just take care of myself for once and take that step. You know, you said not to run away, but don't bother with things that are wasting your time, whether it's a conversation or your job. And I realized that I wasn't where I needed to be. I went back to school. I have plans for the future. My degree will be in religion, a Bachelor of Science in Religion. I have plans to become a chaplain, but I've been kind of toying with that because a lot of hospitals and hospice push you into a category of Christian, Muslim, or whatever. And I have a very huge view of spirit, God, and God's love for people. And really my goal is just to bring help and hope and healing to people, mostly hope, and to help their fear lessen, dealing with difficult situations. So we'll see how that kind of develops and pans out in the next year. I'll hopefully be graduating in the spring of 2022. And then I'll either go into a chaplaincy residency or further that along. So because what was that?
Go ahead.
Because my kids are adults now, and I'm not tied down to them or anything, I see this as an open door to see where God leads me and how I can help people. That's really where my joy is. So I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds fantastic. It sounds wonderful. You mentioned the word religion, and I personally think that the word religion is probably the most misused word in the dictionary because it means something different to every single person.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I prefer belief, faith, you know, in whatever way you want it. And I think that religion, when we use that word religion, it can often give other people the wrong impression of what it is that we're saying, because to us it means one thing, but to them it might mean something entirely different. So be careful not to get stuck in a box.
Absolutely. That's my fear.
That would be my advice. Don't get stuck in a box. But I also feel, Bridget, that I think that having done that bottom brick exercise, having known what it feels like, having paid attention to it, and also being able to watch it back again and again, I think is going to help you to help others also, because you're acquiring tools now that you can use in the future, as Josephine can use with herself and with her children and other people around. We're learning communication skills, talking about learning skills. Not Josephine.
Christine?
Christine. I'm getting there. Christine. All right. So what about you and your future? And I know that you shared this with your husband. Has it made, because we're all curious, of course, about relationships, we want to know, don't we? So has it made a difference to your relationship? Has it made it better or simply different? Or what, you know, what's going on with your life, and what do you hope for your future? What do you feel that this exercise can do for you in your future?
Okay, wow. Well, things are definitely evolving and in positive ways. So for me, the bottom brick is a self-realization tool for me personally. There was one thing that Gray Eagle had said to you that you said to me that triggered me, and I was like, ooh, this I got to pay attention to. So I'm really noticing what I notice. And
what did Gray Eagle say?
He said to you that I was good at nagging. And I sat with that, and I was like, okay, because I'm not one to nag my husband, but I have nagging thoughts that have added to the bricks. Yes. And so I was like, aha. You know, I wanted to take it personal, like, what, I'm not nagging, you know, but it's like, oh my gosh, I've got this little thing over here going, you know, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to choose what I feel. Feelings, how I feel matters more than anything, because it tells me if I'm in alignment with my higher self, what all these ladies are saying. So if I'm out of alignment, then I'm jammed up. Like that trigger, it was like, okay, let's clean this up. What about this is trigger? And it was like, oh, it's the nagging thoughts. It's the nagging that I'm giving myself that then in turn kind of comes across blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And so for me, it is definitely affecting all of my relationships. I am more understanding. I feel more understanding towards people that are not aware of what they say or how they say it or whatever. And it's brought me to a self-realization that I can choose either to not say anything, or how can I bring love and how can I bless the situation? And I love that. You know, when Bridget had,
in other words, if I'm going to say something, let it be something positive and good.
Why not? It feels better. It feels so much better. Yeah, it feels better in my body.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Yeah.
So are you
it feels so.
Sorry, it feels so.
It just feels lighter. I feel lighter. It's interesting. I'm not as hungry. I'm not thinking so much. It's just, I have more energy. It's just really been wonderful. And I was some part of it, I was afraid of it, you know, like I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to look at this. And what if somebody sees it? And now it's like, I don't care, because I feel so much better. Like I feel better about it. And I love to hear, you know, Josephine and Bridget's stories. And I'm amazed. I'm just, I love it.
Can I ask you, do you feel that it's made you feel more positive, happier for your future?
Absolutely. It's unlimited. I'm just, you know, I don't know what my future is. I don't have a plan. But I see and I feel that it's bright, and it's, I'm open. I'm like, my heart just feels like open to opportunities and, you know, whatever that might be.
Well, let me tell you, ladies, wow, you've blown me away. I mean, this one little exercise that you did, and it's had such a positive and a fantastic effect on all of you. I think we should, what do you think, girls? Do you think we should ask Chris what she's thinking about everything that you're saying. Should we push Chris to give a comment here, Chris?
Well, I could go for quite a while here because I also have gone through the exercise. I know what it felt like to be in the dreaded hot seat. I know what it felt like to look at myself and realize these are choices and decisions that I've made. I've realized that people can only do to you what you allow them to do. My question to each of you, though, is there had to have come a point before you even thought, ooh, maybe I want to try this bottom brick exercise. Some challenge in your life, things not working well, you're just sick and tired of the way things have been. So I'm thinking it in a perspective of telling somebody else who might want to try the bottom brick exercise. Where were you before you made the decision to reach out to say, hey, I would like to be a candidate? And what have you learned that might swing a person considering
Well,
doing this?
I think what you're asking is, what would you say to somebody else considering this? So where were you? Were you in a better place or a worse place? Where were you? We're running out of time a little bit, so we have to be brief with this. But where were you, and what would you say to somebody else? If somebody else came to you and said, I'd like to do this, would you say, oh, don't do it, it's awful? Or would you say, what would you say? What would you say to somebody else who is contemplating doing this? Josephine, you've been so good, so quiet. We've just been, you're so beautiful sitting on camera like this. Go ahead. What would you say?
I'm thinking I should skip and let the other three say, because
Oh, no, absolutely not. No.
I might just tell them it's scary, you know. You might not get what.
But why? What pushed you to do it then? What was it that pushed you to do it? Because yes, it is scary. Yes. What would pushed you to do it?
What pushed me to do it? Connection with a renowned psychic. A lovely lady whose book I've read. I'm a cheater.
So I was the one who inspired you to do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, in that case, taking full responsibility myself for your actions in that one moment, I'm really pleased that you did it, because you just, you look so much better. You look happy. You look, you really, your spirit is shining through. So I think that's just fantastic. Bridget, what was it that inspired you to do it, and what would you say to somebody else? Josephine's saying, I'm terrified, don't do it, it's terrifying. But if you can get over that fear, would you say, Josephine, that it is worth doing at the end of the day, no matter how terrified you are?
It is, because you're so kind and loving to us, and I love that. Sorry.
It's all about me then, right?
I just want mother. I'm a child who's looking for a mother. I love the lady I've worked for. Anybody who's motherly, I love it.
All right. Well, Bridget, all right. Where were you think before, and what would you say to other people?
I've just gone through a terrible, dark place in my life, which is saying a lot. My mother passed away in November, and my dad and stepmother got COVID in December, and my stepmom died from COVID in January, and I've been dealing with their estate and by myself for 6 months. And so I was really in a desperate state. I was reevaluating my life. Death has a way of doing that.
Yes.
And thinking, what is my future? I don't want to waste what years I have left. Nobody knows how long they have. And I wasn't even going to turn on your webcast that day, like I always do on Thursdays, and something told me to do it. And as soon as I heard about the exercise, I thought, I'm at the end of my rope. Maybe this will turn things around. And So I sent the email. I would encourage everybody to risk feeling vulnerable, because the good that comes from it, whether it's even if it's just a little better, is worth it. And I have to say that a few people that I know, my children and my sister and one friend that watched the video of my bottom brick exercise, I feel like they had like a little mini session with you as well. They're coming back to me. One of I have two adopted children that came into our family when they were teenagers, so spent the first part of their childhood with other parents. My adopted daughter said, Mom, when you said that you don't use the same detergent that Nana did because she used it, I realized there are so many things I stay away from because of my birth mother, how she did things. And I just see people, like I saw that in several people, my sister, a friend, opening up. It just has a way of working through people and loosening up those bricks.
Thank you for that. That's fantastic. So desperation drove you to me, and and joy and happiness resulted from it, I think. All right. Christine.
Well, I would say a little bit of both of those ladies. Josephine, honesty, you know, I read your book. That's how, and I tuned into you on the internet and listened to some off the cuffs and this and that. And I thought, this might be interesting, you know, maybe I'll get some, you know, something. And like Bridget said, you will survive. Like, you will become vulnerable. Like, be ready for that. So it is a little bit scary, but it is worth it. It is worth it. If you want it to be worth it, it's going to be worth it. Yeah.
Wow, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I'm hoping that when people listen to you, they listen to what you have to say. And again, you've made yourself so vulnerable for us all and sharing this with us all. So I do thank you very much for that. But I'm hoping, and I know that all of you are hoping for the same thing. We hope to inspire, don't we? We hope to give hope. We hope to give joy. We hope that people watching this are having fun watching us. They're probably having fun seeing you squirming a little bit, which is fun for us, but I think it's fun for you girls too. Yes or no, would you do it again?
Yes, I would.
Yes.
I would too. Yep.
Okay. Well, that answers our questions. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for putting this together. What would we do without you? We would be lost without you. So I'm going to say thank you, girls. I think we should revisit in about 6 months. I don't know about you girls, but it's just nice to just sort of hang out, chat, get to know each other, and share with people what we have learned. So we might be coming back to you in a few months' time, and I hope you'll be available for that. I'd like to say thank you to everybody watching. Thank you so much for giving us your time and attention. And until next time, yes, please, all of you, have a very blessed rest of the day. Have a very blessed and a wonderful and a beautiful and joyful summer, everybody. Josephine, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'll see you again.
Bridget, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, Rosemary. Bye, Chris.
Christine, bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, once again. Please have a very blessed rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.